Good morning, good morning, good morning. I come to bring you this video. I don't know, it's been 1 year ago. This was 1 year ago before let me turn this thing around. It's been 1 year ago since we all had Donald Trump as our president. This is what before Donald Trump became our president. But I just thought this was something important to share today on my platform about the immigration policies in Poland. Even though even though I have shown you a clip before about immigrants that was trying illegal immigrants that were trying to get across the borders in Poland, and how Poland just water hosed them down. And after a while, Poland was like, you know what, y'all just keep coming through. We just gonna start hitting y'all with bullets. And I ain't talking about no rubber bullets. They started hitting people with metal bullets, okay? Because Poland, they are very strict about their policies and they stand on business, and they not letting people just come in and invade they country or run their country to think they're going to get rights over there. Like, if you're not a legal citizen of this country, you just not going to get through our doors like that. You got to come through the doors being investigated, being checked out, knowing if you are going to come here for whatever period of time you're going to come here, and these are the things you're going to do while you're here, and then when it's time to leave, you're going to leave. And ain't no it's buts about it. Okay, so Poland is about standing on business. But before I get into this video, let me go into the Father's prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. On earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespass as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thy you are the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And I was listening to this video a little bit, but I didn't read it all. But just read the title. It says, "We don't need your doctors. We don't need your engineer. Take them all and pay for them." Okay, meaning that we're not going to come here for a professional career, but we don't mind if we need you to come here and help out for a little while. But after a while, you got to go home. You got to go home. Okay, because we don't want y'all to invade us. And see, that's what America has done. And we can't blame Trump. So if all of us that are standing with our president, we are standing up for America. This is not about a race thing for me. This is not about whether you black or whether you white. Everything else is in between, shades of gray. But I'm just saying black or either you white, but everything else, stand down. America, this beautiful land of opportunity, even though some of us came by freedom to settle here, and some before it became America, before 1776, some of us was already here. Okay? The black race and the Europeans, okay? We were already here. And the Indians, the indigenous people, were already here. So I'm going to say like this, right? That I don't see nothing wrong with what the Trump administration is trying to do with ICE, of getting these illegals off our land, give us American peoples back our jobs. We are going to do the jobs ourselves. We can do it ourselves. We can improve socially and economically ourselves of in America. But it's just that the wages have to be increased and not suppressed, because you hiring just a certain group of people for cheap labor. All right, cheap labor. Because I'm like looking at these jobs in construction, and I'm like, where all the black men? When I was growing up, I used to see a lot of black men as those laborers in construction. I used to see my friend's father going to work. He used to do construction. Well, actually, he used to do floors. He did that kind of work in labor. A lot of fathers I used to see going to work. Most of their jobs were laborers. And this is, and I'm going back in the time when I was growing up, and I was like, what happened to our black men? Why they not on those unions? Why they not working no more in these type of jobs anymore? I see all these immigrants and how they replace some of the black American men. I could remember black American men losing their labor and their jobs to the immigrants that came from the islands like Jamaica and all those other places of dark continent countries, never really Africans. They work in the workplace, they became workers more in our corporate places of work. That's where most, well, I would say the ones who work in sort of like from Nigeria. You know, they went into our corporate jobs, and then white black men were losing their jobs there that were advanced in those in that area of work. And then all those them Haitians and West Indian men were replacing their jobs in corporate America. The Nigerians. And then when we started seeing the vendors on the street in Harlem, you saw mostly all the Africans. Before it used to be the black Islamic people, the black people from Islam, Nation of Islam, because they formed their own community of practice of Islamic religion or whatever. And it used to be mostly the Islam people. They used to have their own vendors where they would sell their own oils and their products and they bean pies and they foods or whatever like that that were non-pork. Okay? So then all of a sudden here came these Africans and they from parts of the Ivory Coast and Guinea and all those places started replacing American Nation of Islam brothers in that market. And as far as the hair braiding places, here came these African girls that start braiding your hair real tight, even though they could braid and everything. And but there was some sisters that were skilled there, and they started getting wiped out. Their business started, being they started to be out of business for doing hair braiding business. And here came the Koreans taking over our hair stores, our hair product stores, and some of the hair that it just goes on and on and on. When we brought these people into our market and into America, they started wiping us out. So now it's time for us to gain back our control of our own economy and build in our own communities and put businesses for black businesses to be revitalized. Okay? So here we go. We're going to go and talk about, and as I go into this video, what this Polish man said, and he makes a lot of sense. Like, we have doctors. We can make our own doctors here in America. We can make our own engineers here in America. We can make and get this garbage out of our schools, indoctrinating our children, and make them focus so that they can learn to be great visionaries, pioneers, engineers, and so on and so on. They have to learn how to love their country and want to grow up to be the leaders of our nation and of our country. And if we keep bringing all of this stuff into our schools and teaching them not know American history, they're going to sell your children out to another nation, to another culture. And we have to protect our children and we have to protect our culture here in America. Our traditions, our culture, and everything else like that. So I'm not mad at Trump. I stand behind America. And if he's going to be the man to lead America, then I'm all for it. To me, it's not about race. Just like I showed you the video last night, that this ain't about no feminist movement or anything. This is a masculine movement that men take leadership now. Men take leadership in America. Because these women that's sitting on these congresswomen and all that stuff, they not making it look good for the women in America. Brothers like R. Kelly going, Jasmine Crockett, I'm sick of her. She's in the wrong fight for immigrants. Why is she standing out there being the voice for R. Kelly for his injustice of being incarcerated because she was one of those women that took sides with the Me Too movement. These women that's sitting in these powerful positions in government that had R. Kelly locked up. That's why. And it was the face of the black woman. Well, let's go.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dear leftists, I'm very happy to take part in this debate about democracy in Europe. So let me give you some example of very major democracy in Poland, over 1,000 years of tradition of Polish nation. Polish nation rejected you, dear leftists, 8 times. 8 times in a row you have lost elections in Poland. So get used to it because you're going to lose again. That's number one. Let me give you some data about Poland and Polish democracy. The lowest unemployment in European Union is Poland. The highest GDP after COVID in European Union is Poland. One of the lowest debts in European Union is Poland. So don't give us this rubbish about the need of educated immigration, as we heard yesterday. We don't need your doctors. We don't need your engineers. Take them all and pay for them. We don't need them. You know why? Because there's a 0 terrorist attacks in Poland. Why? Because there is no illegal migration in Poland. So don't give me this look. Don't give me these arguments about the populism, because this is a fact. This is your data from Eurostat. So we don't need your engineers. We don't need your doctors. Take them. Do not teach us. Do not teach us about democracy, because we know what the democracy is. So learn from Poland. Be like Poland. Thank you very much.
Okay, so what he's saying is that we don't want to bring in any kind of other people to do the work that we can do here for ourselves. We can make our own doctors. We can make our own engineers. And we can keep this terrorism out of our country because we have 0 terrorism in Poland. And the reason we have 0 terrorists in Poland because we stand on our own and we're not going to need the help from people outsiders coming in and trying to kill and destroy our culture here and what we are doing here in Poland. Let's listen to some of the comments in this comment section. A full respect for Poland, a man who loves his country. Amen. As an Englishman, I am completely jealous that you have politicians that stand up for their people. Our governments are corrupt and enabling the downfall of our country. As an Indian living in the UK who met and works with Polish people, I have to say that they are most direct and honest people. They met. There you have it, folks. No Islam, no problems. That's what I'm saying. Keep these people out of our government. Keep these people out of our schools. Learning and still and giving. This is why we have a problem with America right now. You know, when it's time for your behind to go back, go back. Don't come here and try to run our government. We stand on Christian values, and you're not going to indoctrinate your Islamic culture in our schools. Because throughout America, we celebrated the American history holidays, the holidays we celebrate in America. We celebrated Thanksgiving. We celebrated, we even did assemblies in school with Thanksgiving for the children. How we came and we became settlers here or whatever, and how we joined together in our friendship, fellowship with the indigenous people. How we became peaceful and friends with the indigenous people. Forget about all that stealing and robbing and all that other stuff. Put that stuff. If that happened, Well, there's always going to be somebody that just want to just be a thief and a crook or whatever they wanted to become. But of course, they fought back, but you know, but I'm just saying, when we go back into our history of America, when we talking about the Mayflower and the Quakers and the Pilgrims, they all came from some Christian belief. But those throughout history, the Islamic people over in those countries have always been terrorists. When it came to religion practices, they have always been terrorists. Not saying that there's no Christians who also have some terrorists in them too. When we talk about Christians that were terrorists, we talking about those who are white supremacists. We have our own kind of evil here in the United States. We don't need everybody else's evil against a certain group of religion. We have our own evil here in the United States. We don't need to create more. We don't need to create more. We have our own criminal system to fix here. We don't need to fix yours. This is what this man is saying. I'm sure there's some Poland, people over there, Polish people or whatever over there that breaks the law that are unlawful, but they deal with them the way they have to deal with them. Everybody should deal with their own. Everybody should deal with their own government. But you're not going to come here to the United States of America and think you're going to overthrow our government here and going to run your government over here. It ain't going to work. Just like this whole thing with this Mandari or Zoran, whatever, that's in New York. All these crazy extremist leftists that they so desperate to just hate Trump and want to just overthrow our government here that they will actually vote in for a mayor of a city like New York and vote in this socialist Muslim. That's how desperate they are. So let's go over some more videos with how this man here is saying against these people that want to keep bringing in these Muslims.
Poland's government has long been proud of its strong stance against migration. While other European nations welcomed in hundreds of thousands of people who'd fled war, Poland stood firm with its borders firmly closed. Warsaw has resisted taking in refugees from Syria, Afghanistan, and Eritrea, among others. But then the government realized the country had a problem, a massive labor shortage. So their solution, oversee the largest influx of migrant workers the country has seen in recent history. Over the last few years, more than 2 million foreigners have arrived in Poland. They're mostly Christian from neighboring Ukraine. So are migrants okay so long as they're not Muslim? Well, to answer that, we're joined by Polish MP Dominik Tarczynski from the ruling Law and Justice Party. He's also the vice president of the European Conservatives Group in the Council of Europe. Dominik, is that it? 2 million Ukrainians are okay, but not one Muslim, because that's just how you guys feel about it.
Good evening, Imran. Thank you for having me. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with Islamophobia. It's all about safety. As I said previously, everyone is allowed to apply. Everyone is allowed to submit the documents, ask for a permission, ask for a visa, and then our interior minister will decide if he's needed for our society. The difference between immigration and refugees as a legal difference. You are mixing words. It's very important because the difference is quite big. First of all, refugee as the person who flees to the first safe country by the international law. Immigrant, especially illegal immigrant, is not welcome in Poland. This is what we promised, and these words will be kept. Basically, we are not talking about people who are in need. We are not talking about Muslims. We are talking about a law, international law and Polish law. We don't want any illegal migration in Poland. This is what we promised. This is why our government was elected, and not even one Muslim illegal migrant will come to Poland ever.
What do you mean by safety? Why is safety connected to Muslim? Explain that to me.
First of all, that's very clear, very simple. In Germany, over 200,000 of so-called refugees just vanished, disappeared. Nobody knows who are they, where are they, and what are they going to do. Nobody knows. 200,000 people. Can you imagine how many people is that? It's just crazy. So this quota system, which was offered by Germany, failed, as we know, and this is against our safety in Europe. This is very huge issue. First of all, I'm talking about the terrorist attacks committed by radical Islamists. I couldn't hear very strong words from imams who would condemn this kind of attacks. That's number one. Rapes in Sweden, hidden for 13 months. I'm talking about the youth festival where girls were raped by illegal Muslim migration immigrants. And
you're saying it has nothing to do with Muslims, hidden. But then you're saying
Germany,
Muslims are terrorists and Muslims
where people
are
were raped as well, and that was hidden.
Right. Okay, but again, you're saying it has nothing to do with Muslims, but
of
Muslims are rapists and terrorists.
But these cases... Right. But it's true.
Okay.
It's true. But these cases are committed by illegal Muslim migration, which was proven by the police in Sweden, in Germany, in France, in many other countries.
Okay, so Dominic, let me take your logic then. And if I have to look at the biggest terrorist attack that has captured the international imagination in recent times.
I don't blame him, to be honest with you, because it brings so much conflict when you bring people into your country that have a whole totally different belief than you do, and you got to fight to try to keep trying to make them understand that we stand for Christ. We don't stand for no other God. We don't want your strange God in our country. Your God is not the God that we serve here, and you are not welcome here as not a representative or someone who is here to serve Christ. Even though we got some Christians that infiltrate that they are Christians, but still in all, we can figure them out. But this stuff with this Muslim stuff, they got a totally way of worship with their Christ. They don't believe in the same God we believe in. And even in the Bible, it even had this problem in the Bible when people had all these different gods coming into their country or on their land. Like, we could go back to the story of Solomon in the Bible, the son of King David. He started worshiping and marrying these women with all these different religions and crazy religions and all of this culture that they were bringing around the Jewish culture. And it became a problem. The story of Solomon is a perfect example of when you bring in all these strange religions. The Buddha, the Hindi, the studying Islamic, the Scientologists. There's only one God. And if you're not going to be about that religion, then you need to stay where you at, where they do practice the religion that is your choice and your faith. Now, the ones who are already here and who's been here, they could stay in their own little town, their own little village and everything, and practice whatever religion that they practice. But you're not going to come here and force that on the American people. Put it that way. Let's go on.
The Christchurch mosque attack, or mosque attacks, right? Carried out by
Terrible.
someone calling himself a
Terrible.
Christian, right?
And the difference, I
So
think
would you
the difference
accept
between
that-
us,
Okay, so is
all
there-
the Western world
Okay, so-
condemned this attack.
Okay, so certainly. So is there then a safety problem with Christian migrants, such as the Ukrainians, because of that mosque attack?
No. First of all, the man in Christchurch was not a migrant. I think he should spend his whole life in jail. And as I said, the whole world, Western world, condemned that. I couldn't hear condemnation from the Saudi Arabia or other Sharia law states after many terrorist attacks in Sweden, where we have Malmo and other places where police is afraid to get in. So I'm talking about the scale and the reaction. The scale is completely different, and the reaction from our
Didn't Christ say that someone gonna come and say and claim him as they, claim that they are him, but they're not him, and kill in my name? Didn't Christ say that in the Bible? People could claim whatever they want, but it's how they move in their actions. And this man is carefully examining people that's coming into his country, claiming who they are, but we don't know who you are until we have to investigate if you are a part of any kind of terrorism. And that goes with Christians too. You going into another land, in another country, going into their country, and they are Islamic country, you need to be examined too. What are you coming here for? And you shouldn't be pushing none of your Christian beliefs on an Islamic country. If you go there to visit an Islamic country, you need to stay in your lane. And that's why I do not believe in all of that missionary crap going into people's country to try to help them and bring them Christian beliefs. If they don't practice that, I'm not going over there to force my beliefs on anyone. You are invading, like it says in the Word of God. We're not supposed to be trespassing against other people's beliefs. If you're not a Christian, you're not a Christian. And I'm not going to sit up here and try to beat you over the head with it. But I'm not going to mistreat a person, a foreigner, or a stranger in my land. I'm not going to mistreat you. If I see you in need of something, I'm going to help you. As a Christian. For a little while. But I'm not going to keep you there forever. I'm not going to try to harm you. I'm not going to try to kill you. I'm going to give you whatever. If I have it, I'm going to help you in need at that time. If you need a cup of water to drink, I'll give you something to drink if I have it to give you to drink. I'm not going to mistreat you. If you need to eat, I'll invite you in and have a plate of food. That's how a Christian's supposed to act. It's not with words, it's with your actions. Anyway, let's go.
side as a Christians and as a Western civilization, compare it with the Saudis, with Iran, where people are hanged for their homosexuality.
Okay, you're talking about Saudi and you're talking about
different
Iran
religion.
and all these
It's
places,
completely
right?
different.
Okay. But these are places that are not affected by migration, right? What I'm asking you, Dominic, right? Has Poland had a history of problems with Muslims? Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all.
How many Muslims are in
Not
Poland?
at all.
How
We've
many
got
Muslims are in Poland?
Tatars. We've got Tatars who are.
Sure.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Listen.
How many Muslims
we've
are in
got Tatars who are in Poland for 700 years.
Yeah.
1%, maybe.
It's less than
Not even that.
0.1%.
But what I'm trying to say, that we've got. We want to have peaceful people. It has nothing to do with a religion. It has nothing to do with
But you just told.
You want people to come into your country that they ain't going to try to come over into your government and try to run your government. Point blank, period. Your rules are your rules in your country, and that's it. And if they ain't going to live by those rules, then they don't need to be coming in over your borders.
Yeah,
It has
as I
something
said,
to
we've
do
got
with
Tatars
religion.
who are so peaceful, who fought.
You just said you won't have
No,
one
what
because
I'm
they're
trying to
related to
say,
terrorism and rapes,
modern,
right?
Radical. Imran. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm talking about the wave
Right.
of illegal migration,
Okay.
which started in 2015. Not about religion, but it's linked to the religion and radical Islamists.
But
I'm
if
not
I have to
talking
look
about
at
Islam as a
Poland's
religion.
history, if I have
I'm
to look at
talking about
Poland's
this
history-
wave and about this madness
Certainly.
started by Germany in
Certainly,
Europe.
Dominic. Historically, Poland has had far more problems with Christians than they have had with Muslims, haven't they? Have Muslims been involved in partitions, death camps,
No.
invasions in Poland?
No. We, as you know, our King Sobieski stopped Muslims in Vienna. So that's the very huge achievement in the history of Polish
Right.
history.
Okay, so
if not King Sobieski,
in the 18th century, Poland
Muslims
was
would take
partitioned
over Europe.
3 times. Was
now
it by,
we have
was it
Hijra.
by
As you
Muslim
know,
powers?
you know what Hijra means.
And I'm saying you want to talk about Vienna. What I'm saying is, okay, if we want to go to history, Poland was partitioned 3 times. Was it done by Muslim powers? Dominic.
No, what I'm saying is, this war of civilization,
Okay.
as I call it, is just a fact.
Okay.
I'm not going to. I'm not going
those
to
are the
Iraq.
words
I'm
also
not
of
going
the
to
shooter in
Saudi
Christchurch.
Arabia. I'm not going to
Right.
Iran.
The shooter in Christchurch in his manifesto said
That's
he's
why I
fighting this
condemned
war of
that.
civilization
I did
as well.
condemn.
Against
I
Muslims that he
did
can't
condemn
name
that.
that are all against him.
I know. Okay, but how many terror attacks? How many terror attacks were committed by Christians in the name of the religion? How many were them were shouting Christ is the Lord?
Okay.
None. Zero. And every single committed by the Muslim is followed by Allah Akbar.
Yes,
That's the fact.
Okay,
and the
but
difference
this is
between
again,
criminals,
it's the association
Christian
you're
criminals
making with-
is that they are not committing
Okay.
it in the name of the faith.
Can I go back to your agreements with Brussels or your being a part of the club, right? So as an outsider looking in, as Poland being a member of the European Union, when it came to the quotas, so the European Union said, okay, guys, we're all in the same club together. There's a refugee crisis, right? And we
Like when you listen to, like, for instance, those people in Israel, or I think it was either in Ukraine, it's in Palestine and Ukraine or something like that. Those Muslims, those radical Muslims that came and invaded these people's country. No, Ukraine, I think it was either Ukraine or was it over there in Palestine. Palestine and Israel were fighting. And those crazy radical Judaists, or whatever they want to call themselves, Muslims, came in and was raping their women, and they also were beheading the men. They were killing the children. They put them all in a wall, and each day they start shooting them and killing them. This is how wicked sometimes some of these extremist, crazy religions could be. Listen to what I'm saying. So he's basically trying to say there are some of y'all, just like it could be some of us, that could be extremists, crazy Christians that don't like certain types of other religions and will go in their land and use violence. So that's why it's a fight. What he's saying is that we want to keep our borders safe from any extremist Muslim, because your religion is a strange God to us. We know the God that we serve over here, and we can actually know which one of us we can identify with someone who is a true Christian from a fake Christian. Because Christ said, my sheep shall know my voice. My sheep should know my voice. So you know when a person that claims to be a Christian is not a Christian. But we are not sure about your kind of God that you serve. Like, we not familiar with your God. Your God to us is strange. So we have to be very careful allowing your God into our country or into our government. We have to be very careful about that, even though we know a fake Christian, because we don't read Christians, we don't read the Quran. We read the Bible. That's what you mean by it's being a strange God. So when you read the Bible and not the Quran, you know the difference in the Bible of someone preaching to you a false teaching of the Bible. But you don't know when someone is false teaching you about the Quran, because we don't practice the Quran. We don't practice Islam. We don't practice Muslim. We don't practice that. You could say you good, just like some Christians could say they good and they not good. They could come and say they Christ and they not Christ. Followers of Christ. We see that in the black church today. We see people like Jamal Bryant. I got to use him because he's a very controversial pastor, religious leader, and we read our Bibles. Those of us that do read our Bibles and don't get caught up on all the emotional, crazy, and drinking the Kool-Aid stuff with Jamal Bryant. We know he ain't no real true man of God, and he ain't called to really help people get saved, and he's not about the things Christ is about. Okay? So we know those type of Christians, but we don't know you type of Muslims. That's the difference. Y'all have a totally different way of how y'all practice y'all religion and how y'all worship in y'all God, in y'all religion. Allah. We don't know what God Allah you calling on. We know Yesu. We know Yahweh. We know those names, those languages of God, the Father, the Son, and our Son Jesus Christ, his Son Jesus Christ. But we don't know who is Allah, which means man. What man are you calling on? You understand what I'm saying here? So it's a difference. You go in the Bible, you're going to see who they are. You're going to have the discernment to understand who's a Christian and who's not a Christian, and who's practicing the true life of a Christian and who's just a false teacher and a false prophet. You don't know who's a false teacher and a false prophet in the Islamic religion, because that's not part of our God. That's not the God we serve. But let's go on to the video.
We need to have quotas, we need to share the burden. From me, from the outside looking in, it looked as if, with Poland, it was as if everybody had agreed to go out to dinner and split the bill. Everybody went out to dinner, everybody ate, but at the end,
It doesn't work this way. Unfortunately, it doesn't work this way.
at the end, Poland said, oh no, I'm not paying because I took my other friend out for lunch earlier and I paid. I brought in Ukrainian migrants. I brought in 2 million. So I don't want to be a part of this burden. Why do you guys stay a part of this club if you so fundamentally disagree with the Germans and the others on absolutely everything? Why do you bother?
Because Germany and Russians, they want to drink Dom Perignon and they want us to drink water. That is the difference. So if they want us to have a lunch together and split the bill, they have to eat the same thing and they drink the same thing. The club means that we are...
Thank you. You see what it's saying? You want us to drink water while you drink Dom Perignon. You want to control us with your religious beliefs. You trying to dominate us with teaching us this Islamic stuff to be our friends. But the truth is that you're really not our friends. You're an enemy. Because if you don't join together with us in the body of Christ, you're not our friends. Point blank, period. Here we go.
Cool. We have the same rights and the same duties, but it doesn't work this way. Germany asked for a deal with Russians. I'm talking about Nord Stream 2. French, they are selling Mistrals to Russia. They are making a business. They don't care about our safety, and then they want us to pay the bill. It doesn't work this way. It's not going to work this way. We will never agree for the deals with the Russians and not saying anything.
Right.
So if they want solidarity, if they want to have this club with us as a partners, they have to behave like a partners. Mistrals from France and Nord Stream 2 are the symbols. Obviously, there is much more to be given as an example. So, first of all, it's not us who started this madness. It's Germany who started.
Right.
Angela Merkel was looking for cheap labor, so she found out that they want to work, that they want to contribute to this society by the taxes. They don't want to learn language. And then she decided, okay, so let's spread them around. Let's say that this is our responsibility, not mine. And then we're going to get rid of this problem. No, no, no. We're not going to take any of those. It's not our war. It's not our colony. We never had any colonies in our history. So we want to be a partner. We want to be equal partner with the same rights and the same duties. That's why I keep repeating, not even one illegal will come to Poland ever.
Dominic, it's been really great getting into the mind of the current Polish government.
Okay, let's go into the comment section, y'all. This is where we get the conversation going. It says, why is Poland the only country that understands the legal difference between refugee and migrant? Poland deserves the Golden Balls Award. Well done, best of luck. And now Poland is one of the safest countries in Europe. It says, I'm from France and proud of this guy. We need him so badly. Even Muslim countries not accepting Muslim migrants. Why they are not asking those countries? Thank you. A true patriot. He is saying what millions of Europeans wish their politicians would say. It says, give Nobel Peace Prize to this man. He deserves its salute. Poland is an amazing country. It is beautiful, it is clean, and it is very safe. Bravo, Poland. It is 100% right to protect its borders. Huge respect to Poland, a country with straight backbone. I'm going to Poland. Poland is... The world should follow Poland's example. Dominique is a hero. Protect your culture and society. Poland, I've become patriot just hearing this guy. I'm not going to try to change from America, but I just wanted to just share other world views. Like what other countries are also doing in their problems with having illegals coming across their borders with these different cultures and these different religions and everything else. No, if you come here to work, then work. And if you want to improve, you know what I'm saying? You come here temporarily for whatever time that is needed. Now, when you want to become a naturalized over here as a citizen, these are the rules you got to follow. And if you don't follow them, you're out of my country. You getting deported. That's it. It's not about being a dictator or anything of that nature. You trying to protect the culture and the government of your land and your practices there. You are not trying to come here with changing nothing else. But if you're going to open your borders to your friends or your neighbors or whatever they are to you, your neighbors or whatever like that, and you want to help refugees out because they having some famine in the land where they at, and there's some things going on, problems going on, and you want to help out. But they not going to come here and live here as citizens and then turn around and try to overthrow the government. You're not going to do that. Don't try to creep in with no religion. You got to know these things. This is how the enemy attacks. He will find a way. He'll come in nice and be your friend, and the next thing you know, give you the stab in the back and try to take you out and overthrow your government. You got to be very careful with the enemy. The enemy always try to work within. They try to get close. How do you destroy your enemy? You get close up on them. That's what they do. And America has been too open, too kind, too friendly with everybody. Can't be friendly to you. You got to give them a distance, a friendliness. Can't come here. Akbar can't come here and be in any of our government, not running none of our cities. This is why it's so important, and especially to New York for what they just voted in. This memorial, they don't like Como. So they want to come with all of these socialist ideas with free. Ain't nothing free, boo-boo. No such thing as free. We all are slaves under Christ. And there's a do's and do nots. Or there's consequences. Ain't nothing such thing as free. Who's going to pay for these people to be able to do these kind of jobs for $30 an hour and not pay for the subway systems and all these other things? Where are you going to get the money for to do all of this? Okay? And everybody can't get paid the same if everybody ain't doing the same equal amount of work. Okay? That's socialism, which will lead into communism. It's crazy. All right. So anyway, y'all, I just wanted to come and share this all with you today. And I'll get back with you later with something else. But right now, I got to run and do some things. And when I get back, I'll be back with you. So you all be blessed, be safe, and be careful with who you choose to come into your doors. Okay? So take care. God and protect your heart. God and protect. Please, can I get that like button up? Can I get those likes up? Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.